Yeah, hello and welcome to this video going through the game between Scarff and Prune2000. I'm happy that this was not a totally failed pronunciation. So let's get going and see what happened in this game. We have a Sicilian and Scarff is going for c4 here on move 3. This is not a very frequently seen move, but it's absolutely not bad at all. White is delaying further central action with the d-pawn, trying to maybe get a Maroczy bind kind of setup. For example, if black now plays some rather unassuming move, like let's say, I don't know, a6 or so, that doesn't do all that much, we would actually get a Maroczy bind kind of situation. Something that would not happen, for example, if white plays d4, takes, and knight f6 is played, where you have to limit your c-pawn. Limit? Yeah. Okay, so c4 being played here by Scarff. Knight c6, that's a good reply. Now d4 doesn't do all that much, because black has this variation, which puts lots of pressure on white center. Here, black is perfectly fine. Knight c3, knight f6, again d4, there is the line I just showed to you. Bishop e2, so further delaying things. And now black has a choice to make. He needs to either take some kind of stand in the center or play a decent waiting move. Some are better than others here. d5 is the most principled move, putting a pawn in the center. Here white usually plays this and gets a position which is entirely symmetrical, but white having the advantage of the first move. This is believed to be equal at the end, but it is not much fun for black. It's a bit of a bleak prospect to play this position. So the typical Sicilian player often wants something a little bit more confrontational, and Prune's move is one of those more confrontational moves, queen c7. White now played knight b5. This is very unusual in this position, and probably not all that great. Black's queen is attacked, but it has a good square on b8. So what is white supposed to do now? Yeah, the main thing is that the e4 pawn now is of course attacked, and white doesn't have a great way to deal with this. Advancing the pawn, no. You can cover it, but just going back really puts this whole action into question. He played d3 first, and now after a6 dropped back. So white has played basically d3, and the black queen was pushed to b8. This is, however, not a problem at all for black. The queen is not so bad on this square. And here, if black so desires, could have even taken direct use of that by going b5. That was a decent option now. Black played the move bishop d6. A little bit unconventional, but it is a commonly seen motif in some Sicilians that this bishop is developed in front of the d7 pawn. White now played the move bishop g5. I'm a bit unsure about that. The bishop does not really want to take on f6, and if you don't want to take, what exactly is the purpose? I mean, maybe he wanted to take, but it's not a move that you generally want to make because it would give up the dark squares so clearly. Yeah, for example, I mean, black now played the move knight h5, but let's just assume something like this would have been played. White would absolutely never want to take here, because here black has given he has given black control over the dark squares. Now if you check e5 and d4, it doesn't look all that great if you have pawns on light squares and a light squared bishop, and you have given up your dark squared bishop. Just imagine this bishop somehow at the end like showing up on d4. It's not a good prospect. But black did not do that. He played knight h5. If you absolutely dislike the idea of white taking on f6, I think this was probably the better option, intending to go here. Even though, as mentioned, there is no threat of bishop takes f6. I'm just saying, if you really were concerned. Yeah, okay, knight h5. I think white now should probably go g3 and simply let this knight look a little bit silly on h5. Very likely something like this is going to happen. And now d4. And black with his knight h5 business has given up. He didn't have an advantage, but he had a very comfortable situation. This is now gone. It's probably equalish again or something along these assessments. White now played the move e5. This is an interesting move. I actually suspect that that was not intended. It was not an intended pawn sacrifice, but it is indeed quite interesting. So there is no big choice. Black has to take this pawn, and you cannot take with the knight as he would like to do, as of course h5 is under attack. This is the only move. Yeah, note that if black, if he would try to ignore all that, then okay, that looks pretty atrocious. This has no square on h5. Yeah, so taking is pretty much mandatory. So takes, and now the queen is pinning the bishop, so the knight is not hanging on h5. White now, I think, should have played queen d2. This actually leads to an interesting position with some compensation for white. White is a bit better developed. Note that this is not looking great. And I think, I'm not sure if it's enough compensation, but it is some compensation. Something like that, the bishop to f4. There's f4. Yeah, white is a bit better developed. He's got the bishop pair. I'm not sure if it's enough. The computer thinks so. I'm not completely convinced, but I think it's the best choice for white. He played this move, which is a little less convincing, as the black knight, which was an offside piece, immediately gets back into the game. Okay, white castled.
Check.
And black captured on e2. Queen takes. And I think here black should have played the immediate knight d4, putting this into this weakened square immediately. Something like queen d2 probably, and it's probably roughly equal. White has some compensation again, yeah, with b4 and so on. Yeah, so what happened? He played this move, and I think castles is can be slightly risky. f4, and now queen d6, and this is a bad idea. If black now goes to c7, I think his position is okay. The first thing is, if white recaptures the pawn on c5, black will go d6 and maybe opt for a position like that, where the knight is blocking the f5 advance and b6, bishop b7 is on the agenda. Equal, maybe. Yeah. The thing is that the game move is just much worse. Went to d6. And this is leading into a position where I think black can... I think white is a lot better now. Knight e4. Attack on the queen. The queen does not have any decent square to go to. If the queen drops back, the bishop will take. And the thing is, if you check this kind of position, this is just absolutely atrocious for black. Yeah, what kind of game is that? Those pieces are not moving ever. And with f5, white is going to have a decisive attack. Means that black only has one reply after knight e4. This is the counter attack knight d4 that was played in the game. And here white missed a very, very instructive opportunity. He played the move queen to h5. This looks dangerous, of course, because of the better development that white has. And he is not in bad shape after this move. However, you have to also look at knight takes d6 in this position. Even more so, as the lines that follow are fairly straightforward. Okay, the queen has to be taken. King up. Has only one square back. And now, I'm sorry, the point is that white can take on d4 and will push c5. And this is extremely bad for black, this position. And it's something that white can easily calculate. It's totally forced. There are no sensible deviations up to this point. The problem is that black is playing without the c8 bishop, and in turn also cannot connect rooks. If white here would be able to play like a4 and a5, black can safely resign, because he's going to play without two pieces. Black has to do something quickly now, very, very quickly, to avoid a total bind. And I'm not sure that he can do so anyway, but we can try. A5 is probably the best try. Rook c1 is a strong move, anticipating that black probably wants to play some b6 in the nearest future. So how can we continue this line? For example, what did my note say? Rook b8, and then I had a4 as an idea. The idea is to go b4, takes, and a5. This is really important to see. If black plays, let's say, some non-move, and you go here, 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 this is losing. This is nothing else than losing, because this is a completely dead piece. White will pick up those two pawns at will and then win very comfortably. You are piece up. I can count it actually as two if you like. The rook isn't any better. So this is what white is trying to do. If black goes b6, you can go b4 again. Very strong. Takes, takes. Bishop here and just a5. This is a losing position for black. This knight is an absolutely dominating piece. Again, white will probably pick up both pawns and then promote a and b pawn. I think that white is more or less winning here. I mean, if we go back, I think white is more or less winning in this position. I mean, in a practical game, black will lose. I mean, very, very clearly, because it's even difficult to have the computer defend it. I mean, the computer already gives white almost a win, and in an actual game, tough, very tough. Also note that white is a pawn down, but this is totally irrelevant. Yeah, the pawn on d4, for example, can be easily picked up, and pawns are nice, but pieces are more important. Here, black's bishop on c8 will probably lose him the game. In the game, queen h5 was played. Not an illogical move in itself, but knight takes d6 was forced and leading to something extremely favorable. So black played queen to e7, and now white took and went knight g5, directly going for the attack. Here there is something else also. I looked at queen e5 as well, trying to do this after all. This is not bad, and maybe better than the game continuation. Yeah, this is also attacking the pawn. Probably something like f6 and d5 is a good choice for black. It looks very radical, but you need to get your bishop in the game. Yeah, so something like that, for example, is not too bad for black. But white is also fine. Another move that I found was interesting is the move f5, trying to play f6. Yeah, if black takes, queen takes, there is quite some serious pressure here. Again, there are sometimes ideas to block this, like queen f4, knight d6, those kind of things. Quite promising. However, black will not take, but play f6. This is a lot stronger, also preventing white from playing f6. I'm not sure about this. Probably black is fine here in this position. You can try yeah, stuff like that, but it is extremely slow, and something like d5 is defending it. The white problem is also he only has one knight left as a minor piece to attack, and just with queen and rook you're not going to mate black. In the game this was played. Black played h6. I have to do something about the mate. And now rook f3. That was the white player's idea, going for a direct mating attack. This should not succeed, but black now made a mistake. He has a couple of moves actually available. It's not just like one possible line. One thing is clear though, he should not play what he did. Possible moves, f5, d6 or b6, moves that either block some squares away or finally try to get the bishop out. This, for example, is good because after rook h3, black has e5, and then all that looked a little bit silly. Yeah. Instead of rook f3, yeah, some conservative move was still okay. I note that that pawn isn't strong. So yeah, d6, b6, f5, all good now for black. But he took this knight, and this should lose the game, because the white attack is going to be extremely strong. Rook h3. White also could have taken on g5 first, but rook h3 is okay. There's nothing wrong with the move. f6, needs some square, and now it takes. Yeah, here the main threat is g6, and black resigns. There is only this reply. And here white has a win. The check is correct. But the next move, move 24, is the problem. He now played queen h5 check. The winning move, there were actually two. It doesn't matter what you do. You need to give a check on the f-file. I'm going to do it with this, but other way around also wins. Yeah, black only has this one reply. And now you can take and go rook f1. And here black has no defense. If the queen goes somewhere here or here, you can do that.
Check. Checkmate.
It's a direct mate, and it doesn't make a difference if you go here, here, here. It's always this mate. So the queen has no squares. Yeah, this is also mate.
Checkmate.
Quite quickly. So a little bit of a mystery what white overlooked here. It's a completely straightforward variation.
Check.
He played this, and black now has g6. He does not need to repeat going to g8. g6 is good. Rook f1 check. Oh, I'm sorry, pressed the wrong button. Check. Rook f1 check. This is fine. And king to e8. Yeah, now white can still draw, by the way, but he has to play correctly now. This is extremely difficult, however, for a human player to assess, especially in our typical time limited situation with limited time. He played queen g6 in the game, which seems to be not enough for a draw. However, the capture seems to be okay. Black has to take with the queen. Yeah, this is
checkmate.
Get a mate. So here, and now, funny enough, not this, but queen g5. The queen here on g5 is keeping the black king from escaping, and this is surprisingly a draw. Yeah, how do you find out if this is a draw? If you are not in the actual game, you can just ask your engine. It says 0, 0, 0. But in the actual game, it's tough. It's really tough. I mean, what you immediately spot is that white definitely has chances to draw because of his very good activity. However, it also wouldn't be totally unreasonable to think that queen and rook should have winning possibilities, because, you know, look at that. They don't play at all. However, objectively speaking, it seems to be a draw. What would have happened in the actual game is tough to say. I can easily see myself with black making a mistake and losing the game. It's still not easy at all. What is a potential line though? Queen g7, according to the engine, the only move that secures the draw, shows that it is not easy. Rook h6, for example, not the only continuation. d6, rook g6, queen e5. This is a checkmate, very important. This is also why the computer actually believes that this is the strongest move, giving white some luft for the king. Still a draw. b6, rook g6, queen e5, and now
check.
he gives some checks here and enter, but
check.
black does have
Check.
a perpetual check now. So with the computer it always looks easy. It's a draw. In the game, tough. Very tough to evaluate between taking here and the other line, and it's really not easy at all. Check. So this is what happened.
Check.
Looks very comparable to the other position. The difference is, however, that here the black king is already on d8 and has chances to escape to c7.
Check.
Chances is wrong. He goes to c7. That's what I was trying to say. He goes to c7. Yeah, now white is basically
check.
Yeah, trying to
check.
Swindle something out. He doesn't have enough here for the material at all. Yeah, we got to this position, and here is an absolutely key moment. Black now had the opportunity to win the game right now. With this move. Funny tactical shot. If the queen takes, black takes with his queen and has completely stopped any potential swindles, as simply white lacks any firepower. There's not even a check inside. And after rook takes, there's rook takes g7, and now we see with this double attack that white is losing like g2, b2, and so on, and the queen is traded. So here rook g8 was a really strong move. Black played this one, however, and after this white has a great opportunity, and it was taken by the white player. b4, a very strong move. The queen was defending the e5 pawn, and after b4 the queen has nowhere to go to besides taking. Yeah, or go back to f8, but both moves give up the e5 pawn.
Check.
This. And d6, rook h7, check. The right move. And king had to go back, of course. Cannot
checkmate.
Do that. So goes back. And now queen to e7. Instead of queen to e7, white already had this
check.
One.
Check.
With a draw.
Check. Check. Check.
That's a perpetual. But he played queen to e7. Maybe even hoping for more. But it shouldn't
check.
Be the case. Queen a2 now was possible, but this is not yet
check.
Spoiling anything. Check. And now king e1.
Check.
Check. King e2. And now we have an absolutely key moment again, as black now spoils his efforts in this really tough game. He plays the move queen to e3, probably happy that the queens are traded. However, things are not clear at all after that. If you go queen b2 instead, and now grab here, yeah, black should win this. Queen covers the bishop, and you have a very straightforward plan, king a7, and then bring the rook into the game. That wins fairly easily. Instead, this move. And it shows that you have to be extremely circumspect with going into an ending, a piece up, where the other side has a clear plan. And the plan is promotion of the 2 pawns here. Black's position is not coordinated. Yeah? Those pieces are not situated well. Yeah? It takes a lot of time until they play together. And such a pawn is very quickly approaching its promotion square. This is not easy at all for black. I think I'd rather be white in this position. Objectively, it should be a draw, I guess. So g5 and h4. White clearly has gotten the initiative here. Note that also the bishop is not helping all that much. So a5, b5 was probably a better choice. That also helps that the king is finally getting to do something. This is a bit too passive maybe. King takes. Yeah, and now again, white has 2 pawns and they are dangerous. King a6, yeah. It's hard to give black some advice. King b8 was probably better. Being trying to run to the action from the back. Here you also are in this on the 6th rank, which can be potentially unlucky. Rook h6 now was very strong. The computer actually assesses this position as winning for white. This is possible. The d pawn will drop and the 2 pawns there are extremely dangerous. For example, something like here. And try to bring the bishop around. You take this, intending c5. Yeah, and white is pushing this. It doesn't look good. Yeah, king f4 is not as convincing because rook f8 now was a pretty good defense. This was played, however, but okay, we can have a look there.
Check.
This is a key idea. The rook gets activated. Still not easy, but it's better than this move. After which the pawns get to be very dangerous again. Rook f7 was a bit better actually to prevent checks on the f farm.
Check.
Check. g6. Rook g8 and rook c7. Yeah, and now this is now a very mysterious moment as black now did not take on g6. This is quite amazing. If you have the opportunity to sacrifice your bishop against those 2 pawns, you absolutely have to do it. I mean, this is fairly, or to f4. This is a fairly straightforward draw. 3 against 3, and this is not a big issue. You have b5 coming. Yeah, or I mean, white can go a4, but still, white is not winning this position. In the game, black took on d3, maybe trying to win, but this is not. That's not very realistic. So I would definitely would have taken there. It's not objectively that terrible. It's just a bit unnecessary to play with fire. g7, of course, and now b5 has to be played. But he played a4. And after a4, h6, bishop g6, the black position is critical. However, rook d7, such an up and down there. Rook d7, there is an issue later. So c5, yeah.
Check.
Yeah, white takes this and now really is in excellent shape. It wasn't really necessary to take the pawn, but okay, it doesn't really matter. Those advanced pawns should win. Rook e8. Yeah, okay, here we have this situation. Yeah, my notes are a little bit of a mess. Yeah, here this is attacked, and white has to check this. Yeah, you should not give up this pawn. What you can do is you can play rook b3 check, king moves, and then rook b6. And this you're going to win quite easily. Yeah, this is a very straightforward win. You just go here. Or if the rook takes, you go here. And now your idea is to push the king up or go around here, and white wins this fairly straightforward way. The thing is, you have to keep the pawn here, of course. But white played this, and now black was able to take it. Yes, you can try this idea, but rook g6, g7. Here white should queen and draw this ending. Draw this ending. Black will draw this ending. It is a draw anyway. But it's a far better way of doing it like this. Here you actually have to be afraid that black is trying to win this. But in the actual game,
check.
Black did not try all that hard. And ultimately allowed the rook trade. With precise play, black could have gotten into rook and bishop against rook. So there were many ups and downs near the end of this game, where certainly, or most likely, both players played on the increment, which is always tough to do. There were chances for white to win more than once in this game. I think the most important moment, or instructive moment, is here, where knight takes d6 was probably winning the game in a pretty simple way. Simple means that it's very difficult to imagine how white is going to screw this up now with this basically material advantage that you have with that fantastic piece there. I once had a game where the knight was here. That was even nicer. Because rook a7, the rook could never move. I can argue if that is nicer, but it is fairly good. It's really fairly good. So, I hope you enjoyed the coverage of this fighting game. Thanks for watching.